Hello everyone and welcome to another audio here on Real Over Religion. It is I, Johnny Lee, and we are back again with another one. I have been away for a while. As you guys know by now, I don't like to put anything on this channel unless I have something to say. Go back into my archives and you can listen to all of my previous videos on various subjects. But I only like to speak unless I feel the need to speak. For the most part, I like to just sit back and observe the world, to see where things are going, to see how the human animal behaves. And what I see, ladies and gentlemen, is a world given to tribalism. And it is such a sad, sad scene to pay attention to. The majority of humanity refuses to be objective because they want to belong to a group and an ideology in a belief system. Whether it is right or wrong, people refuse to think for themselves, to form an educated and introspective opinion, all in the need to belong to a group. I began to realize that you can't save and help everybody. You can only help those with an open mind, those that have come to the end of themselves, when they're willing to realize that there is no God coming to save them, when they realize that there is no supernatural powers that's going to deliver them from the suffering, the sickness, and the death, and the continual suffering that this life presents to all of us. Until you come to that realization, you will continue to be blinded by the things that you believe in. It's hard to sleep at night knowing that there are no eyes in the skies watching over you, and that every day you live is a risk, and that tomorrow truly is not guaranteed. But what we do as human beings, we love certainty. And that is the reason why religion is so popular, because we need to be certain of an afterlife, certain of a hope, certain that our Messiah is coming to save us from this horrible and cruel existence that we live. But when you are ready to face reality for what it is, you understand that there is nothing or no one coming to save you. You had better learn to save yourself. And if you can't save yourself, then the only relief left is unconscious death. Ladies and gentlemen, today I have prepared a message, something I have been pondering on as I've been observing the world and paying attention to what is going on the world stage. And what I have come with today in my sermon, the two most dangerous religions in the world. Now here on YouTube, that is the title, but on my Rumble channel, it's a little bit different because we know the games that YouTube plays. But as you can see in the thumbnail, you know what religions I'm speaking of. These two religions are of the Abrahamic religions, Judaism and Islam. And the reason I don't include Christianity is because Christianity among the three is the weakest. Because Jesus told you to turn the other cheek. He was not a military revolutionary. He told you to lay down and die for his cause. Blessed are those who are persecuted for my name's sake. Therefore, that is why I saw in the news recently about the Christians in Syria, I believe, that were killed. Up to 70 of them, I believe it was. What a shame. When you take on a belief system like this that teaches you that suffering for Christ, that there is a reward, these people are laying their lives down to be brutally murdered, if you will, all because of what they believe in. Tribalism is ruining this world. It blinds us to the fact that we are human beings. A lady was just telling me about how in the United Kingdom, it's totally unacceptable for a Protestant to marry a Catholic. Now, I knew this, but I didn't really know the intricacies of it, and she explained it to me because she was from that part of the world. And I thought to myself, what a shame. How many relationships, beautiful relationships that could have been, but because of childhood indoctrination and brainwashing, I must hate you because you are a Protestant. I must hate you because you are a Catholic. I must stick to my tradition, and I must marry those who think like me. Tribalism, ladies and gentlemen, it is a cancer in the world, when at the end of the day, we are human beings first. But that's too simple. They need it to be a little bit more complicated, because in order to conquer people, you must first divide them. So while we are fighting amongst ourselves, the powers that be continue to control and manipulate. The population still is blind to the fact that we are the ones who are in control. But as long as you are brainwashed, you will continue to live as a sheep, following to your own destruction. Ladies and gentlemen, the two most dangerous religions in the world is Judaism and Islam, because these religions seek world domination. They are filled with hatred and divisiveness. If you think for one split second that there will ever be peace in the Middle East between the Jew and the Muslim, you are sadly mistaken. They are like oil and water. They cannot mix because their religions are contrary one to another. I was listening to a podcaster the other day, and he spoke about the reason that Osama bin Laden, he wrote in a letter to the United States stating why he attacked on 9/11. And it was due to the fact that he blamed America for funding their enemy, Israel. And Israel in turn uses those weapons against Muslim countries. But because we consider ourselves a quote-unquote Christian nation, we are an enemy to Islamic countries. Ladies and gentlemen, you will never be able to coexist with the Muslim, the extremist Muslim, because their religion is extreme. And it is a shame that you are called an Islamophobe for simply calling it what it is. Islam is not a peaceful religion. It is a religion of war. All you have to do is a little bit of research to see how it spread itself to the territories that it is found in today. It is spread by the sword. I saw a video of a Muslim woman on Instagram a couple of days ago. I believe she was wearing what they call the niqab. It covers the face, the arms, the feet. You can't see not one iota of skin. She was in a gray niqab, and it covered, she looked like the Grim Reaper is what she looked like. You probably can search it up. But she says in the caption, "I know that people think I am a prisoner, but this is the most free I have ever been." And I just shook my head and I said to myself, this truly is brainwashing at its finest. I want you to visualize that, ladies and gentlemen. A woman that is completely covered from head to toe. You can't see her eyes, her face, her identity, nothing. She literally looks like the Grim Reaper. And she believes that she is free because she's been told that this is the will of Allah and you are pleasing to Him. I find that childhood indoctrination is extremely powerful, because if I can put these ideas into you in your formative years, and I keep you in this bubble, then I can convince you to kill in the name of this religion. This is what the extremist terrorists are doing with their people. They are showing kids cartoons of what it's like to be a suicide bomber, the reward that you will receive in the afterlife. They're brainwashing kids, showing these kids these cartoons in their formative years, and then sending them off to die. You will never be at peace with anyone that believes like this, because this is the will of their God. If you don't believe me, I'm going to show you evidence of that today, because it comes out of the Quran and it comes out of the Hadiths, which some Muslims disregard and some do regard. But again, there is never any consistency in religion. Yet they say it comes from a perfect God. But yet they can't agree amongst themselves on what comes from their God and what doesn't. But there are Muslims that hold to this view. And it is consistent with the Quran as well. It is consistent with history and the way that Islam was spread. You're never going to be at peace with those who believe like this. Now, I said that Judaism and Islam are the two most dangerous religions in the world, but I'm going to give Islam the number one spot, and I'm going to show you why. There's a verse in the Hadith. I believe it is pronounced Hisham 992. And it says, quote, "Fight everyone in the way of Allah and kill those who disbelieve in Allah." When there are people that are raised and given this type of mindset, do you think that you're ever going to be at peace or friends with someone who believes like this? What do you think they're going to do to the atheist, to the Buddhist, to the Hindu, the Christian, the Jew? If you're not one of them, you deserve to die. There's another hadith. It says Muslim, chapter 133. It says, quote, "The messenger of Allah said, I have been commanded to fight against people till they testify that there is no God but Allah, that Muhammad is the messenger of Allah." This is the mentality of the extremist Muslim, the fundamentalist Muslim. This is the mindset. And this is what you are seeing in the Middle East. There's another verse, Bukhari 52, verse 177. Quote, "Allah's apostle said, the hour will not be established until you fight with the Jews, and the stone behind which a Jew will be hiding will say, O Muslim, there is a Jew hiding behind me, so kill him." Does it sound like the Muslim will ever coexist with the Jewish person? It is in their hadiths that they must be killed. So why would America think that they can ever have a two-party state coexistence over there in the Middle East? It's never going to happen. And we are in the middle of a war that is going to go on forever until those religions are wiped out of the world completely. But that's never going to happen because the weak, docile Christian believes that by helping Israel, they are helping God's chosen people. And we will get into that here in a minute. Now, the Quran says in chapter 9, verse 30, quote, "And the Jews say, Ezra is the son of Allah. And the Christians say, the Messiah is the son of Allah. These are the words of their mouths. They imitate the saying of those who disbelieved before. May Allah destroy them, how they are turned away." So the Muslim believes that the Jew and the Christian are misinformed and that we deserve, well, not we, but they deserve destruction and how they've turned away from the truth. There's another part in the Quran that says that the Muslim is not even supposed to befriend a Jew or Christian. Now, I don't have that in my notes, but you can look that up as well. These are the things that they don't tell you, but yet they want to call you an Islamophobe for calling out what their religion truly is. Now, I want you to know this is going to be a problem for those of you who continue to reproduce and bring children into the world, because according to some research that I had done years ago, Muslim families tend to reproduce more than any other race or any other group in the world. Something to the tune of on average, 8 to 9 children per family. And they're brainwashing them with these ideas. Eventually, Muslims are going to outnumber the rest of us because many people are not having children like they used to. We will be outnumbered by the Muslim at a very fast rate. So what you're going to see is a world filled with Muslims. And in Islam, it's perfectly okay for you to lie to further the cause of Islam. There was a teacher, an imam, as they call him, in Europe, who said in an interview that the Muslims in America do not adhere to your laws. They only follow one law, and that is the law of Allah. And when the interviewer asked him, he said, well, if it's so easy for them to take over, why haven't they done it yet? He said to them that this takes planning, but when the time is right, they will take over. Their goal is to raise the Islamic flag on the lawn of the White House. And there may come a day where that happens because we as Christians, the weak, docile Christian nation, wants to tolerate a religious system and belief system and allow these type of people to come into the country that believe in these things, because our government clearly hasn't read the Quran or the Hadiths, or they don't care about history. So they're putting your future children, our lives, in jeopardy. I may not live to see the day that when Islam starts to try to conquer this land. They are seeking world domination. Now it's said in another verse, I didn't put it down here, but it basically says in the Hadiths that they are to fight until the whole world is under one religion, until the whole world is under one religion, and that they acknowledge that Muhammad is Allah's messenger. This is the goal of Islam. It's not just to stay there in the Middle East. If they wanted to stay there just in the Middle East, those that are Muslims would migrate to America. They consider America the great Satan, and they consider the Jews little Satan. But yet, those that believe in Islam are coming to America. Why? Because they're coming here with an agenda the same way that they have infiltrated Europe. And they want to implement Sharia law in these territories. The question is, when the face of America changes, you're not reproducing enough, which I don't advocate for anyways, but because you're not reproducing at the rate that they are, eventually you're going to see more Muslims in this country, and they will be worldwide in such a number that you're going to start to see problems arise, because this is not a religion that's designed to coexist with different beliefs. But the weak and docile Christian nation wants to be tolerant of all belief systems. Yes, we do believe in freedom of speech, except when it calls for inciting violence, which is exactly what the Hadiths stand for. They don't like Christians and they don't like Jews. This is the most dangerous religion in the world. But the weak, docile Christian thinks that they're doing a good thing by helping Israel, but Israel doesn't give a damn about the rest of us either. Let's go into the Hebrew Bible, aka, or we should say, let's go into the Old Testament, aka the Hebrew Bible, because that's what it's really called. Isaiah chapter 60, starting at verse 10 through 12. It says, "The sons of foreigners shall build up your walls, and their kings shall minister to you. For in my wrath I struck you, but in my favor I have had mercy on you. Therefore your gates shall be open continually. They shall not be shut day or night, that men may bring to you the wealth of the Gentiles and their kings in procession. For the nation and kingdom which will not serve you shall perish, and those nations shall be utterly ruined." The Israelite, the Jew, who follows Judaism and follows the Hebrew Bible, is waiting for a day when their Messiah will come to subdue all nations and make you their slaves. A people that hold to such an idea doesn't really respect you, an outsider. We know this based on the Old Testament, as they went from nation to nation, killing off men, women, and children that did not adhere to Yahweh and his laws. They killed off the pagans and established themselves. They believe that Jerusalem belongs to them because it was given to them by God. And the Christian wants to help in assisting with that. And this is all madness, because there is no evidence or proof for God. But our world's politics, our tax money, and our tax dollars are being given to help support a nation who believes that they belong in a territory given to them by God. And none of it is supported by evidence. It's just religious belief. Meanwhile, they believe that in the end, their Messiah, because they don't believe in Jesus, is going to subdue the world to make you bring your wealth to them and serve them. And if you don't serve them, then you shall perish and be utterly ruined. This is the mentality of those who believe in Judaism. Zechariah chapter 8, 22 through 23. And again, if you call this out, you're considered an anti-Semite. But I don't hate Jews or Arabs. I hate your ideologies. I hate your belief systems because they are divisive and hateful. Zechariah chapter 8, 22 through 23. Yes, many peoples and strong nations shall come to seek the Lord of hosts in Jerusalem, and to pray before the Lord. Thus says the Lord of hosts, in those days 10 men from every language of nations shall grasp the sleeve of a Jewish man, saying, let us go with you, for we have heard that God is with you. So they believe that they have the one true God, and that in the final days that all nations will come grabbing the Jews. Hey, take me to Jerusalem. I want to meet your God. Now, the Christian believes that this is describing Jesus, but again, Jews don't believe in Jesus. So this is a future Messiah that's going to usher in and put the Jews on top and the rest of us as servants. Psalm chapter 2, verse 8 through 9. Ask of me, and I will give you the nations for your inheritance, and the ends of the earth for your possession. So they're going to own the world and the nations. You shall break them with a rod of iron. You shall dash them to pieces like a potter's vessel. Again, the Christians interpret this to mean Jesus, but the Jews understand that this is referring to themselves. Psalm 47, 2 and 3. For the Lord Most High is awesome. He is a great king over all the earth. He will subdue the peoples under us and the nations under our feet. Again, this is the mentality of the Israelite Jew. This is what Judaism believes is going to happen when their Messiah comes to the forefront, to make all non-Jewish people their slaves, including Arabs. So you have two religions that have two opposing views. When the, I believe it's the Mahdi, they call him in Islam, their Messiah, he's going to instruct the Muslims to put the Jews to the sword and conquer the world under one religion. You see how dangerous these Middle Eastern religions are. See, again, it's not about race. I don't care about the fact that you're Jew or an Arab. I care about your ideology, your belief system, because it is a belief system that has disrupted the peace in the world. And there's never going to be any peace in the Middle East. The sympathy, the sadness that I have for the children that are being bombed and destroyed in the Middle East right now. And you can say it's for this and for that, but in the end, it's all about religion, because there's a people that believe that they're entitled to a land because the Bible, because their law says that they're entitled to it, even though they haven't seen or heard from their God. They just uphold traditions. So this is dangerous for the future, because this is not going away. As long as these religions exist, this is not going away, especially Islam. And the religion is growing. So you're going to see more and more war, more killing, more destruction in these parts of the world. And eventually, it's going to hit American soil in a way that's probably unprecedented, because Islam's goal is world domination. So don't think that they're not trying to conquer other continents. They're working on it. But if you are an atheist and you are of the antinatalist mindset, then you know that death is your only escape. And by not reproducing and bringing kids into the world, they won't have to participate in any of this madness that is going to come. But know for certain that these are indeed the most two dangerous religions in the world, because they both hold the idea of world domination. And those that believe in these religions don't respect those of you that don't believe in it. You will be eventually their slaves. In Islam, you either will convert or your head will be removed from you. But even according to the so-called prophecies of the Hebrew Bible, if you don't submit to Yahweh in Israel, then you will perish also. So they're both in bed together, but different belief systems. But I now find that people that have been raised in these ideas, you can't change them. People have to come to the realization themselves. And I have found that these belief systems are steeped so deep, it's so wired in their traditions, that the only way that that kind of belief system would be wiped out, it would take a complete genocide. These belief systems are not going anywhere until these people are wiped out of the world. Because this is tradition steeped so deep within their history. It's not going anywhere. Not that I'm advocating for their destruction. That's not what I'm saying. But what I am saying is that they're not just going to let these belief systems go. It would take a genocide for it to go away. Because that's the way that previous religions were wiped out of the world. That's the reason that Judaism, Christianity, and Islam are popular religions in the world in the first place. Because they've conquered territories and killed off ideas that now no longer exist today. But in a civilized world, we don't advocate for genocide of that kind. But these religions unfortunately do. It's all throughout the Old Testament, and it's all in the Quran. These people have not updated to modern times. They still want to see the destruction of those that don't believe in their religions. So I simply conclude by saying, ladies and gentlemen, nothing is going to change. The world is going to continue to do what the world does. My job is to speak to those of you that have an ear to hear, to speak truth to power, whether that offends you or not, I don't care, but I call it how I see it. It's in their religions. You can look this up yourselves. These are not peaceful religions. They're divisive and they're hateful, and I think we need to call them what they are. In America getting involved in it because it's a quote-unquote Christian nation, even though we're supposed to separate church and state from our government. But there's more Christians here than non-believers, so it identifies itself as a quote-unquote Christian nation. So we have allied ourselves with Israel, the nation of Israel, thinking that we're doing God's work. But in the end, all you're doing is provoking Islamic nations. And what's going to happen is you're going to see future attacks on this country as a result. Because that religion seeks world domination. They're not going to rest until all religion is under Allah. This is why I say religion is a cancer. And this is why I continue to speak out against it. Because of the destructive nature of it in the first place. But anyways, those are my thoughts. I'd love to see your comments and see how you feel about it. Maybe you disagree with me, maybe I'm wrong, maybe I'm off, maybe I'm crazy. You tell me. But this was something I was thinking about, and I wanted to put this out here on my channel. As I always say, ladies and gentlemen, that life is suffering, but death is mercy. And if they have to speak for God, they've already lost the debate. Until next time, be safe and take care of yourselves.